Novelty is high on the list because it takes a lot of complexity in your organism, in your function and form to activate it. It is the seventh sense, like the 7 chakras or the 7 days of the week. This is an important number when you use color for your definition of the world and how you refine things. For example, you'll notice that certain colors of flowers will have a very similar smell range to them. Like a purple flower will have a very different smell than a white flower. And for the scientifically minded, you can even look at the transition metals in the periodic table, and you will discover that each one of the transient metals has a different color profile as well. So, through chemistry, we can have a better understanding of how information transports itself over long distances. What I'm referring to here is the chemistry that we find underneath our feet here now in the ground is the same chemistry that we would find if we went to another continent, another land somewhere. So these universal aspects, if you will, we have access to them. So if we needed resources in a different land, we would know how to extract that because we have the technology that we built in our land, which gave us that ability to do it, so we can just reproduce it someplace else. And this is how time and space also maintain integrity within the system, because it's the same no matter where we go. I know this may sound strange for people to hear, but when we go anywhere in the world that we know of, anywhere that we've ever explored, the sky still looks the same. In fact, what's very interesting, you may have heard me say this before, but if we're standing in North America and we look up at the moon, and we will see the moon and say it's to our south, okay? If we go down, supposedly in the southern hemisphere, right, and we're looking at the moon in Australia, we will notice that the moon is still to the south. How is that possible? But what you will see is the craters will have shifted several degrees. So maybe in the north you'll see the one of the big craters at the top, and then when you're in the south you'll see the big crater at the bottom, and wherever you go you'll see that there are degrees and angles built in to where we find ourselves in the world, and the stars are like a pattern in which we can use to discover our location. They are the same 88 constellations, and whatever continent we've ever discovered has a very special relationship with the 12 signs of the zodiac and the sine wave in which moves above our heads. So there is a harmony in this type of magic that we are discussing here, which is the sense of novelty. So even though novelty is unique and specialized and very particular, it still follows rules that are like a technology. Now, this style of magic in which we're going to discuss now is not one that you could consider as time travel, right? We went over that. But what we're going to talk about now is what is commonly referred to as Stargate technology, portal technology, okay, or bilocation. These are all different words in which describe this type of practice. So for the new people, I'd like for you to consider if that's even a possibility for you to be in one place in a local environment and yet be able to move in space within the same time as now. So similar to how a cell phone works, right? Where it's just connected to you, just in the air, nothing else in between, yet We can have a dialogue in real time, and you can hear my voice in the now, 9,000 miles away, 10,000 miles away. Also, visually, we can do this. So with our ears and with our eyes, we have developed technology to transport ourselves over long distances pretty much instantaneously. So there becomes a progression of learning. And that progression is how time organizes itself, because everything that has space also has time. They are connected. They have movement when they join forces and powers for harmony, because that is the key. So novelty has friction with generality. It enjoys the specific. However, when you shine light and reveal the permanence of its nature, the nature of novelty, our sense of novelty, you find that it is represented in how we do what we do, how we think, how we act, how we behave. So novelty, as a way to harness its unique properties, because we are looking for the production of novelty, in this case, you will find that on each plate in which you see, novelty is built in to each one, and it is represented by the word how. Because how you do something, like if you want to dig a hole or build a house, you're going to do it differently than everybody else. It'll be the same house, it'll be the same hole, but you have your own unique skill and talent, your own sense of humor that you feed, and that sense of humor bleeds through into your action, your work, your breath, your movement. And movement is not in the mind per se in this case, but movement that is in your water, the gut, your intuition, your feelings and emotions. And there are chemistries in your body which are produced from this motion, from these factories. So I would encourage you to learn about them. Learn about those emotions, explore them. And if you are moved to explore them, think of them in terms of levels, in degrees, in angles, in positions, where they stack on each other and they build on each other in a complex way, because through that connection, through piecing them together, this is when novel moments in harmony with your sense of novelty, spawning memory, reveal themselves to you because of the way you have organized your experiences and perspectives. So an example would be learning how to crawl, and then learning how to walk, and then learning how to run, and then you learn how to dance, and then once you learn how to dance, then you start taking things seriously, right? And then you start looking deeper into things and really organizing your life, your skills and your talents to be in performance around a system that allows you to have a narrative and filter that brings you joy and purpose. And through joy and purpose, you receive as a reward, this is what you receive as a reward here in this one, which is memory. Memory is what we will accumulate for this particular practice. So, again, What we do here is in peace. The key to maintaining a relationship in this type of magic is harmony. Some may call it blending in. Some may call it bleeding. Me, this one I call the feed. Because we all have our own relationship and our own connection to the feed. And in response, which is what we learned from the echo experiment, response itself, time, organizing, our response is what we feed. And that is where the other side finds value. That's what's the reward for it, is our attention and intention. You see, we are in a unique position here. Each of us play a very special role. This is how Novelty introduces the will and desire into you, inspiration and motivation, because we all are touched in different ways, so to speak. We all get these feelings and urges, and this is where Novelty actually begins to show the function and form of each individual, because it is in the gut. The brain that is in the gut is where we will find this technology, not in the mind. When you feel emotion, when you are fortunate enough to be able to have this in your life, this sense of feelings, this sense of joy and pain and love, but when you have these feelings, you become sensitive. That sensitivity spawns and builds empathy and sympathy, and they become the pillars. In a situation where you feel a lot of emotional energy, somebody's extremely excited or somebody's extremely angry, or you can tell by the look on their face that there's something else going on, right? Even though they're not verbally speaking it or even showing you technically with their body, but you can still read them in a way that shows an emotional position. So you can say, I can see that person's genuine. Genuine is an aspect to Novelty. Okay? Whether that person's angry or happy or sad, it's still, you can see if the emotion is genuine. This is the technology in which you receive from telepathy. So it comes actually from the feelings in which you have. So this practice builds that connection. And these are ways of separating the nuances. And those nuances become specialties. And Novelty, it likes specialty. And what Novelty produces for you are hormones.